our fellow citizens every year for possessing a plant that we know is harmless, that heals our bodies of chronic pain, that takes away the symptoms of PTSD, that provides relaxation for people, which is much better than alcohol, which of course is totally legal. And so we are not going to stop working until marijuana is legal in Texas and no citizen is arrested every year for possessing marijuana. We probably have people here with, you don't have to raise your hand, but we probably have people here tonight who have been arrested for marijuana or who know people who have been arrested for marijuana. And in Texas, that's a very serious charge. It's a Class B misdemeanor for 2 ounces or less, and a Class A misdemeanor for up to 4 ounces. And anything over that is a felony. And I have heard some real horror stories since I've been involved in TXNORML from people who have been arrested. And it really screws up their life. And there's no reason for it. Because we are not criminals. You look around this room, and this is not a room full of criminal people. You talk to the people here, and the people sitting here who use cannabis are educated people, they're homeowners, they're professionals who work all kinds of interesting and complex jobs. We vote. We raise our families and take care of our families. We are not criminals, and we're tired of being treated as criminals in our state of Texas. So, National NORML was started in 1970 by Keith Stroop. Did I pronounce his name correct? Keith Stroop. And he started it with $5,000 donated by Hugh Hefner and the Playboy Foundation.
Nice.
Thank you, Hugh. We're in your debt. And then 3 years later, Bill Norton started TXNORML from his dorm room over here at the University of Texas. And we've been going ever since. So it was 1973 to 2016. That's a lot of years to be working on this issue. Bill was going to speak tonight, but he caught the flu. And so we gave him a rain check, and he will speak in our... But you'll have a good chance of being able to meet with one of the legislative aides. And that's a good thing, because the legislative aides have a lot of influence, obviously. So you could try to arrange a face-to-face meeting with somebody from the legislature's office. And then the other thing you can do, which is very, very effective, is to write a letter, mail it, mail system. Because in the hierarchy of contacts, sending the electronic message is good, but it's not as effective as an actual hand-typed letter that you mail. And so our legislators log every single one of those letters, and it goes to the aide to a hand-typed letter. Sometimes it's just a form letter, but sometimes it'll be an actual letter saying a substantial thing. And then so the electronic message, the hand-typed letter, and then calling for a face-to-face meeting with either your legislator or one of the aides. Those are the 3 things you can do, and it depends on what your personal situation is and what your preference is, which one of those you choose to do. But step number 1 is join TXNORML. Step number 2 is contact your legislator by one of those 3 means and tell your Texas legislator your opinion about marijuana. Now, you can find talking points on our website, our TXNORML website. But to me, what I always advise the veterans is just talk from your heart and tell the legislator whatever your opinion is and your experience with cannabis. That's what's most effective, rather than just using canned talking points. Although, please do look at our information on our website, because it'll give you some good ideas. And then the third thing you can do is start coming out to our Texas Normal events. Jax will talk about all of our events coming up, and we hope that you will come march with us 2 weeks from now. And we have a lot of other very cool events coming up. And then the fourth thing you can do is come to our lobby day and help us lobby our legislators. And then the fifth thing you can do is when our bills are in front of the committee, you can come testify to the committee or just come sign in at the electronic kiosks in support of the bills, because the legislators look at those numbers and they listen to the testimony. So those are all the things you can do. And then on top of that, I think number 6, is you can start volunteering with Texas Normal at our events. We have volunteers at the table right now, which we really appreciate. So we really appreciate our volunteers. All of our events, we always invite volunteers to help us out. It's very empowering, and it helps us accomplish our mission of lobbying for legalizing marijuana in Texas. So, I don't think I've left anything out for anyone who's brand new. People always ask us, what can I do? And those 6 things are the exact things you can do to help legalize marijuana in Texas. Yeah. All right, so the other thing I want to talk about is we have a raffle. And so we have some fantastic prizes tonight. So be sure everybody go over to the table and sign up for the raffle. How many prizes do we have?
It's one package.
Oh, it's a big package. Okay, I saw the prizes, so they're all together. So it's like a big, huge prize.
It's like a gift bag.
Like a gift bag. Okay, very cool. So sign up for the raffle tonight for sure. Now the other thing I want to talk about is I've kept this low key, although I have talked about it before. I'm a school teacher. I was in the Army for 21 years, and I retired from the Army in 2006 and did the Troops to Teachers program. And for the last 10 years, I've been teaching 11th grade English and creative writing in my town of Killeen. And it's been a real experience for the last 10 years. And I put in my retirement pack. I sent in my retirement packet to the teacher retirement system yesterday. So I'm going to retire for I've already retired from the Army. This will be my second retirement. And I'll retire probably for good now, which is a good thing. It will give me more time to work on our Texas Normal stuff. But here's what I want to say about being a school teacher in Texas. The first time I used marijuana was in 1972, when I was 16 years old in high school. And me and my best friend, Johnny Brown, bought a dime bag. And he put in $5 and I put in $5. And we had our first bag of marijuana, and we were very, very happy about that. And on the way home from school, we stopped by the convenience store and bought some rolling papers. And the long-haired guy behind the counter gave us that knowing look. And we were really happy because now we were cool. And we were buying rolling papers. And so we took our little baggie up to Johnny's bedroom because his dad was gone at work and so was his mom. And we dumped our dime bag out into a shoebox. And it was Mexican dirtweed. And so we separated out. We had a little pile of stems and a little pile of seeds. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
And a pile of dirt, actual dirt from Mexico. And a little pile of actual herb that we could smoke. And so we very clumsily, based on the last Cheech and Chong movie we watched, figured out how to roll a joint and smoked it while we listened to Jethro Tull, Thick as a Brick. Is that the greatest stoner album ever made? Yes, it is. And while we got high and listened to Jethro Tull, Thick as a Brick, we also looked through his dad's Penthouse magazine. And that's when we found out sex is always better with marijuana, at least in our fantasies. So, my life was never the same after that. And so me and my friends got into the habit of smoking a joint every morning before we went to class. I don't advocate that as a high school teacher. In fact, I frown on it, but it happens. And so several months later, we learned how to hotbox a car. And so before school, we were all sitting in a car getting high. And I went to my first period class, and my first period teacher, who was a real dick, I would like to say that for the record, smelled marijuana on my clothing and probably saw my wild red eyes and called the nurse. And the nurse came and got me out of class. And then the nurse notified the principal. And then the principal and the assistant principal searched my locker and found 5 pre-rolled joints. Because that's the other way you could buy marijuana at my school was, $1 for a joint. And so what happened is they didn't call the cops because they did not want the embarrassment of the word getting out that all these kids at the high school were smoking marijuana. But they tried to make an example of me and expelled me from high school in 11th grade. And the only way I got to get my high school diploma was my dad had to go meet with the president of the school board. And the compromise was that I was sent to a completely different high school all the way across town where I didn't know anyone. The principal put me on probation and told me that if I broke a single rule, I'd be expelled for good. And so I had to really lay low for the rest of my high school career. I had to lay off the marijuana, so I started drinking alcohol and taking speed. That's how that works. Right? So flash forward to 2006, and I became a high school teacher. And when I started teaching high school, it became evident to me right away that some of my students were getting high on marijuana before they came to class. And occasionally they'll bring the cops through the school with the dogs and sniff. And what they do is they take the kids out of class and make them leave all their book bags and stuff, and then the dogs sniff through their stuff. And they'll sniff the lockers too. And occasionally they would find a kid who would have marijuana in his backpack because he was the one who was selling on the campus. And so what I discovered is nothing had changed in our high schools since 1972. In 1972, in Tulsa, Oklahoma, any student who wanted to smoke marijuana could purchase marijuana right there at the school and smoke it around the school and be as high as they wanted to all day long. And then in 2006, in my high school, I figured out that, guess what? All these years later, all these billions of dollars we've spent on the drug war, all these people we've arrested, and still in our high schools, students are selling marijuana every day. Students are using marijuana every day. Students are getting arrested and expelled for marijuana quite regularly. And students are coming to class high. Nothing has changed. 1972 to 2016, how many years is that? 17, 18, 19, 2010. So over almost 40 years, and not a single thing has changed. And that was really, it wasn't surprising to me, but it confirmed my belief that our drug war against marijuana has been a total waste of time, and it's time to do something different. And so our politicians always, and you have to be prepared for this, always their final argument is, what about the kids? And so I want to tell you, as a high school teacher, you can tell them that nothing has changed in our high school since 1972. Any student in any high school in the state of Texas who wants to purchase marijuana and use marijuana can do it with no problem at all. They still sell dime bags in our high school. They still sell pre-rolled joints in our high school. And I saw how it worked. I was on duty one day when I first started teaching. And I saw these guys sitting around a table at the bus loop. And what I saw was a student would get off the bus and make a hand gesture to this group of guys. And it would be like this, or like that, or like that. And then the student would start walking off of the school grounds. And one of those students from the table would get up and follow him. And then a third student wearing a backpack would follow both of them. And the guy with the backpack had the marijuana in the backpack. I didn't see this with my own eyes because they go off of the campus to make the transaction. But it's the exact same way it worked in my high school in 1972. The guy with the backpack, he's got the marijuana in the backpack. And the guy that's following the student, he takes the money. And the guy with the backpack gives him the marijuana. And then they walk back. And then that student goes and gets high before class with his friends. Nothing has changed. It's the exact same way that it worked at my high school in the early 70s. And so when the politicians and legislators say, what about the children? The answer is, look, our high school students have access to marijuana. But if we take it out of the hands of the people who are selling it to our high school students now and make it legal, like alcohol, then at least we will have a fighting chance to convince our teenagers that maybe using marijuana when they're in high school and coming to class high is not such a good idea, and it'll be more difficult, I believe, for them to buy marijuana because the marijuana will be sold in the dispensaries and they'll be asking for ID cards. The people who are selling the marijuana in our high schools now, they're not asking for ID cards, right? So don't let the legislators stymie you with that "what about the children" argument, because the drug war is not keeping marijuana out of our high schools. So that's what I wanted to say about that. So I turned in my retirement packet, and as of June the 4th, I will be permanently retired. You can see the big smile on my face. All right, so sign up for the raffle drawing. Chad Fish after Jack's talks, and I'm going to come back up here and talk about how to talk to our legislators. And then Chad Fisher, is Chad here?
Yeah.
All right, Chad Fisher and Austin's funniest comedians will entertain you and make you laugh. And then the great Mau Mau chaplains will perform. Thanks again to Angela and the Flamingo Cantina. Be sure and tip your bartenders. Ladies and gentlemen, Jack Spinkle, our executive director.
Thanks, Jack. I like that story.
I need to be able to move with the thing. All right, so how are y'all doing tonight? What? I like that. That was good. Okay, so real quick, just so everybody knows what the raffle is for tonight, we've got this awesome blue shirt. It's Willie Nelson's Nug face with Willie Nelson braids on it. And then we've also got a piece of glass artwork, a comedy CD, and a few other things that are going to all be in there. So make sure that you fill out the little form over there. At the end of me talking about events and stuff, I'm going to ask Brittany to bring me the bucket, and I'll draw a name out. So if you haven't signed up now, go ahead and do it. And I see Dave has left a couple of these bottles up here, so it gives me a good opportunity to talk about Operation Trapped really quickly. Operation Trapped is a veteran initiative that Dave created, and it is veterans submitting pill bottles with information about name, service, what type of injury they have. And these pill bottles are going to be displayed at the Capitol. in the 2017 legislative session. And we're going to have these in the exhibit hallway and also at a press conference on Veterans Day to symbolize veterans who want an option, an alternative to all of these pharmaceuticals that they're taking for PTSD, traumatic brain injury, TBI. And so these veterans feel like these conditions should also be included not only in the compassionate use program that's being instituted, but also in a more whole plant type of way. Because as we know, CBD is a beneficial cannabinoid, but of course whole plant enables you to utilize any part of the plant that you need. So if you go to TXNORML.org, you can find out all the information to fill these out and submit them. Also, if you're a veteran, please go up and sign our letter in person. It's a letter to the governor requesting a meeting with him, and it'll be a representative, a veteran representative for every conflict all the way back to the Korean War, to meet with him and have a conversation about medical cannabis. Because he claims, Governor Abbott claims, that he will not legalize medical marijuana, but the fact of the matter is that he already has.
Sorry.
And so now he has to decide how much compassion he's going to show. So our veterans should definitely be included, and therefore all patients that suffer from those conditions. So make sure you look into Operation Trapped. That's that. And then, coming up, not this Saturday, but the next one, on the 14th, we're going to be marching from City Hall up Congress to the Capitol South Steps, and we'll be having a rally. So we're really excited. This is the 9th year that we've been doing this. Can y'all believe that? Yeah. And what's really cool is that now that there are so many different chapters in Texas, this upcoming Saturday, the 7th, is the actual Global Marijuana March Day. And there's like 7 different cities having marches during that time. And then we're doing ours the following weekend so that people from those cities can come up and join us. Because this is the capital, you know? Even though this is not currently a legislative year, it's going to be paid attention to, that there are, you know, numerous hundreds of people marching up to the Capitol about this. And that's what we have to maintain. We have to maintain the consistent appearance and the issue being on people's minds. We have to make sure that people are talking about it, because a cycle every 2 years, it can be easy for people to just move on and forget. And the fact of the matter is, patients don't have another 2 years. We know this because we are losing patient activists, right? They're passing while they're still considered criminals. So we have to make sure that we're maintaining this as a very important issue. So we will be meeting at City Hall at noon on Saturday, May 14th. The march will start at 12:45. We'll be marching up Congress almost the whole way. We'll have to jot around one little festival, but we'll be going up Congress. And then at the South Steps, we'll be having speakers from the NAACP, Progress Texas, TXNORML, El Paso NORML, Rio Grande NORML, the Libertarian Party, and I believe that we're going to have a statement from Republicans Against Marijuana Prohibition, but that's still in the works, so I'm hopeful that that'll happen. And afterwards, we're going to have a really fun party at Sidewinders over here on Red River. So from 4 to 8, we've reserved Sidewinders. It's going to be a private party. There's no cover or anything. It's free. It's all ages. But it's going to be, you know, a TXNORML after social. So I hope you guys will come out there and enjoy it with us. We're going to have a lot of fun. And after the march, the next thing we have going on is going to be back here June 1st. We'll be back here for the open meeting again at Flamingo Cantina. And we've started doing our traveling strategy meetings again, which is basically we meet at a restaurant with a private room, kind of more at an earlier time of day, so that maybe people with families or kids can come out and join us, because sometimes, you know, this is perhaps a little late for some people, 8 o'clock. I know my kid goes to bed at 8, so she's already asleep, hopefully. Please let her be asleep. And so we've started doing those. We're trying to do them every other month or so, and the one in June will be on Wednesday the 22nd, and it's going to be in the La Madeline private room up at the Round Rock Premium Outlets. And we'll be talking about strategy, the upcoming bills that are going to be discussed, and kind of whatever questions you have. It's a good opportunity to ask questions, because sometimes it can be confusing as to how do we change the laws, what's the best way to advocate. And then we'll be back here in July, on July 6th. And kind of some more long-term plans that we have coming up is in October, we'll be having a veterans conference. It's going to be next level. I'm really excited about what we're doing for it. I think that the date is going to be announced shortly, but it'll be in the beginning of October. And then in October is also our members mixer. We do it every year. If you're a member, you get to come to this super special party, and it's really, really awesome because we like to have fun. And then it's going to be November election time. So that's one thing I want to touch on. Dave was talking about having these voting records and, knowing where people stand on the issue. And the fact of the matter is that we have the primary election guide out. It has the voting record for how all incumbents voted on cannabis bills from the last session. And it also has candidate responses to questionnaires. So we did that for the primary election. Most of the primary stuff is out of the way. But there is one runoff election, a primary runoff election, and it includes David Simpson, which some of y'all may remember him. He did the full repeal of prohibition bill. And he is in a special runoff election. I believe it's May 24th is the date, and early voting will be happening before that. And he is running against Brian Hughes up in Senate District 1. So that is someone who wrote, a very, what some people would arguably say, one of the, most brave repeal of prohibition bills probably in the country. So he's got a very hotly contested race going on. And then in November, we'll be having another voter's guide for the general election. Once we know who all of the candidates are from the state conventions, we'll start sending them out the questionnaires, and we'll have that available for y'all too. And it's an interactive website, so you can just go put in your address, and it'll pop up, bam, what information they have or we have for what's in the area. And then long term, it's going to be going into the holidays. It's all chill, right? It's the winter. Who does anything then? And then in January, the legislative session will start. Usually the first month is pomp and circumstance. It's not really a lot of stuff happening, unfortunately. And by February, bills are being introduced. Filing deadline for bills are, I think, it's the beginning of March. I think it's the beginning of March. And then hearings start to happen in March and April. Now, if you have a hearing in March, you'll probably get on the agenda to be heard on the House floor. But if it gets pushed into April, especially end of April, ooh, that's an uphill battle. So we're going to have to really keep an eye on the bills, make sure that you're keeping an eye out for action alerts. We're going to have patient lobby days, citizen lobby days. We'll also be doing an educational exhibit in the hearing hallway. There's a hallway where legislators walk every day for their hearings, and in March we're going to be reserving that hallway, setting up those pill bottles, setting up information about decrim, medical, all this different information. So we have a lot of plans for the legislative session, and we definitely need to make sure that each of y'all are involved, because it takes really these legislators realizing that they're not going to lose office for supporting a cannabis bill. That's really what it comes down to. They want to keep their jobs. Is it popular enough? And so we have to come out and educate people and make sure that people are interacting with their legislators so that they know how they stand on the issue. And in addition to the civil penalties bill that Dave brought up, there's going to be what's considered a compassionate inclusion bill, and it's going to take, the bones of the CBD bill and turn it into a whole plant program that has a really comprehensive list of conditions. Now, I prefer, it to be just if you're a patient and you need medicine, you should be able to have it. But I think that the way that the bill is written, it's very well done. So we're going to have a bill like that to deal with. We'll have to see what else happens. Not a lot of people knew that Simpson was going to put that bill in, before he put it in. So that was really interesting. So
out of left field.
On that note, Brittany, may I have the bucket?
The bucket.
Who gets the stuffs? All right. I'm gonna pick this one up here. Is that one sheet of paper? It is. Okay. Rick, Bella.
Hey, what?
Rick, you get these. All right. I'll leave this to Rick, and on that note, I'll give it back over to Dave.
That was quick.
Hey, congratulations, Rick.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Rick showed up over a year ago, right?
Yeah.
And started coming to our meetings and hanging out with us. And he got some film equipment and filmed some of our activities and interviewed us. Rick has been a big supporter of TXNORML ever since he showed up. So I'm glad you won that, Rick.
Hey, thanks, y'all.
It's karma, man.
All right. Let's burn one.
What's up, Dax? What's about you, buddy?
So I'm the Director of Veterans Outreach, and this is what we're doing to support the medical marijuana bill in 2017. We're working to collect 1,000 pill bottles from 1,000 veterans in the state of Texas who want to use cannabis instead of the pharmaceutical drugs that our VA doctors give us. Each veteran is, and these are the three that we received tonight. Thank you so much for our veterans who gave us these pill bottles tonight. Each veteran is putting a piece of paper inside each pill bottle with their name, or they can be anonymous, their branch of service, their dates of service, the combat operations, if that's applicable, and their service-connected disabilities. We are going to put inside each pill bottle a toy soldier because this initiative is inspired by the great artwork by Malachi Muncy called Trapped, which depicts a soldier trapped inside a pill bottle, which is how we feel when we become dependent on all these pharmaceutical drugs that our VA doctors give us. And so our goal is to display these bottles at the Capitol during the legislative session. We're going to build a nice display cabinet for them to show our legislators how veterans in the state of Texas want a legal medical marijuana program in our state. The other thing we're doing is I have written a letter to Governor Abbott, and our goal is to deliver that letter to Governor Abbott on the day that we have our statewide Veterans Conference in October. And so if you are a veteran, please co-sign the letter to Governor Abbott, and you can also tell your veteran friends to co-sign it electronically online. And this letter is asking Governor Abbott to meet with a group of our Texas veterans to discuss medical marijuana. And we will select a group of 6 veterans to meet with the governor. And the governor has said he will never approve medical marijuana in the state of Texas. And so we believe that if anyone has a chance to convince the governor to change his mind, it's our Texas veterans. We are also going to march in the Austin Veterans Day Parade in November and carry our huge banner that we carried last Veterans Day Parade. Raise your hand if you marched in the Veterans Day Parade with us last November. We have some over here. Thank you very much. We had 30 people, a little over 30 people show up to march this time, which was the very first time we had marched in the Austin Veterans Day Parade. We carried a gigantic banner that says Texas Veterans Support Medical Marijuana. And the Austin Veterans Day Parade is a huge parade with thousands of onlookers. And the Texas citizens applauded us the entire parade route. We did not get any negative comments, no thumbs down. It was all thumbs up from Texas citizens. And when we passed the reviewing stand, the MC announced us as Texas veterans who are working to legalize medical marijuana in Texas, and the crowd gave us a huge ovation when we passed the review stand. And so that tells me that we have a lot, the people who show up to a Veterans Day Parade are very conservative citizens. And so that tells me we have a lot of support in Texas for medical marijuana. And then we had a press conference down at the Vietnam Veterans Memorial at the Capitol grounds and to announce Operation Trapped. And we had 5 television stations show up, to include the Hispanic television station here in Austin. And we got 100% positive news coverage for Operation Trapped. And so, and we always get positive news coverage. It's very hard, actually, to find people who oppose medical marijuana in the state of Texas. We definitely have the majority of citizens behind us. We just have to convince our legislators of that. So we're going to display these at the Capitol, these pill bottles. We're going to deliver our letter to Governor Abbott. We're going to march in the Austin Veterans Day Parade. And then one of our veterans, named Arthur Meyer, he met with an aide of the chairperson of the Senate Veterans Affairs Committee. And this aide suggested to Arthur that another thing we can do, and I'm going to discuss this with Jax and Heather and our veterans, is he suggested a letter writing campaign to our lieutenant governor from veterans talking about medical marijuana. And so that might be our fourth initiative leading up to the legislative session, is a letter writing campaign to our lieutenant governor, who's always been opposed to legalizing marijuana, letting veterans tell our lieutenant governor why they believe we need a medical marijuana program in the state of Texas. This is Amanda Tack, right down here, this lady with the camera. Amanda's a veteran, an Army veteran, and she's working on her master's degree in medical anthropology through the University of North Texas. And she's creating a film focused on our veterans working for medical marijuana. And she is going to produce this film, and we're going to provide a copy of it to every single one of our Texas legislators and our lieutenant governor and our governor during the 2017 legislative session. So thank you, Amanda, for being here with us. So veterans and patients are working arm in arm for medical marijuana in Texas. All of us are working for the civil penalty bill, and our ultimate objective is full legalization of marijuana in the state of Texas. Every state that has legalized, it's always been a three-step process. Decriminalization, medical marijuana, and then full legalization. And we are working on that same template in the state of Texas. Now, occasionally, somebody will bring up the issue, well, you're normal and you want to legalize marijuana, and so we're concerned about how committed you are to medical marijuana. And so I want to assure everyone that we will work equally hard for all three bills every time they're in front of our legislature. The civil penalty bill, the medical marijuana bill, and the full legalization bill. We want all three of those to happen in the state of Texas.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right, it's 9:25. I'm so happy that all of you are here tonight. This has been a great meeting. Do we have anything else, Jack?
Wonderful.
It is always thrilling when you are here with us, because every month we're here, and then we're always wondering, is everybody going to show up? And then you do, and it makes us really happy.
So just really quickly, we have a really amazing board. We have great members. We have a lot of really cool people that come to our meetings and help us through advisory positions. But we have someone that joined our board a couple years back and has taken over merchandise, and he does a killer job. If you have not touched our new t-shirts, go touch one. And it's his birthday today.
Yeah, you knew this was coming. You knew this was coming.
I don't want to sing into a microphone tonight, but on the count of three, let's just say happy birthday, Les, okay? On the count of three. 1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday, Les!
All right, everybody have fun tonight. Thank you.
He's 27
Hey, the other
years
thing I
old,
wanna
ladies and
say
gentlemen.
is,
27 years young.
Over here is Heather Fazio. Heather Fazio is the head of our coalition in Texas, Texans for Responsible Marijuana Policy. And all of our normal chapters, as well as Republicans Against Marijuana Prohibition, law enforcement against prohibition, all the various organizations in our movement in Texas has joined the coalition led by Heather. And that gives us a lot of strength because in other states, there's been a lot of divisiveness between the various organizations working to legalize marijuana. But in Texas, we have swore that we are never going to allow that divisiveness to happen in our state. We're all going to work together for our goal of legalizing marijuana. And Texans for Responsible Marijuana Policy has provided us that umbrella and that coalition for all of us to coordinate our activities all over the state of Texas and work together on these bills that we present to the legislature. So please come meet Heather tonight and introduce yourself and let her talk to you about what Texans for Responsible Marijuana Policy is doing. It's an honor to have you here with us, Heather. Thank you. All right, everybody enjoy the comedians. Everybody enjoy the Mau Mau chaplains. We're going to legalize marijuana in Texas. Thank you.
Yes, we are. Sooner rather than later.
2017, hopefully.
Ben, this is for you, man. I'm special. What's up, big guy?
Good to see you.
What's up, Fat Damon?
What's up, man? I have a name.
No, you don't. Your name is Fat Damon. What's up,
I knew it.
What's up, Mikey?
I knew it.
The best part was some yelling at Ben, right? I was like, Ben. And he goes, shit. That's Mikey.